A movie projector this small? Let's check it out. Dave Taylor here, and I feel like I'm sitting in front of a really small movie screen. I am, actually. That's a Vankyo screen. You can pick one up for like 28 bucks on Amazon. Super handy to have around, especially when you're testing projectors. And that's just what I'm looking at today. This is the Crenova XPE498 Mini Projector. Now, I don't know that I would categorize this as mini. It's just a regular size projector from what I've seen, but we'll cut him some slack. Now, I'm going to give you some specs. We're going to talk about it a little bit. Then I'll switch to a demo, and then we'll switch back to talking about it some more, just so you know what's going to happen. Now, this features 3200 lux, so it's pretty decent brightness for a budget projector. Has a 50,000 hour viewing LED lamp, so that should last you years. You can watch it anywhere from 30 inches to 200 inches across, but let's be realistic. You know, the way that physics works, the way that light works, the bigger the projection, the less bright it is. So if you're going to try doing it 200 inches across, you better be in a cave deep under the earth because it needs zero light. But if you want something that's just going to be like 4 or 5 feet across, this might work just great. We'll find out. Now, comes with a 12-month warranty if you have any issues, and they have, you know, one of the things that's a real challenge with these projectors is keeping it cool enough that A, the the bulb doesn't burn out, but B, that it's just not a noisy fan. So this is actually the second generation Crenova projector, and this one features a dual fan cooling system, which is supposed to give us a quieter fan. Why is that an issue? Because you might not want to blast everything super loud to compensate for a noisy and annoying fan. Totally makes sense, right? Now, it does actually have stereo speakers, though they're not apparently located on both sides. I'm not sure, but I believe that's one of the speakers there, and there's no corresponding one on this side, so it might be back there. Who knows exactly where the speakers are, but it still gives you okay sound. Keystone adjustment, focus, you have to do all that. So once you turn it on, then there's a wheel on the top that is way too smooth. It really needs like some sort of cuts or something on it to help you focus, but be that as it may, you focus here, and then on the back, there's this sort of pinchy control that you slide from side to side. It's super awkward, actually. I'm not a fan at all of it, but that gets you keystone. And keystone's the difference between watching something like this and watching something that's actually square. We'll see that in just a second. So, works with up to 1080p, but it's actually projecting 800 by 480. That's really pretty typical with projectors, is that they support HD, but they don't necessarily project HD. Now, if you're not doing it at 200 inches, you're not really going to notice. And even at that size, you're probably going to be caught up in what you're watching, hopefully. And so you won't be worried too much about resolution. Get the focus right, and it actually is reasonably crisp. But know that it's not native 1080p, but it is at least enough for 720p, right? At 800 by 480. I think that's right. Anyway, so inputs on, let's see, on the back, there is an SD card and a VGA plug. Does anyone still use VGA? It seems really old school. I don't know, maybe people still use it. And then on this side, you have HDMI, you have AV in, and it comes with an AV adapter, so you plug this in, and then you have video A, video B, and audio. So this, again, is pretty old school. This is like how the Nintendo Wii hooks up to the television. And then you have AUX out, which is important if you want to use better speakers than what they have built into the projector. Again, it has speakers, it does work, but you can do better than that. And then finally, it has a USB plug, so if you want to use like a flash drive and put some movies on it, you can try that. Now, here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to test it. I put a movie on my SD card, and then I have an HDMI adapter, and it does include an HDMI cable, and it's a weird one. It's this big flat cable. So it's kind of clumsy in terms of transportation, and it doesn't come with a travel bag. Bit of a drag, but you know, it's kind of clumsy and chunky looking, but I'm guessing it's actually a pretty decent quality cable. We'll find out. In fact, enough talk. Let's go ahead. I'm going to turn off all the lights. We're going to turn this around, and we're going to have a look at how it actually works. So let's do that. Well, the room could be darker, which would make this brighter, but I think this is enough for us to get rolling. So first thing we need to do is adjust the keystone. And that's done with the slider on the back. So watch the edges. So you can see, you can get it, you want it to be as square as possible. And then you use the focus. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start with an SD card that happens to have a movie on it. Now, here's what's confusing, is that if you put it image side up, which is I think what people would normally do, where this is on the top, it's not going to work. But flip it over, and it actually has possibly an upside down installed SD card reader. Not sure exactly that's what's going on, but now using the remote, I will choose source, and I will choose USB/SD, and it should give us our content. Let's go ahead and do the focus one more time. This is sort of pretty typical that you're fiddling with the focus. And now I'm going to choose movie, and here it is. This is actually one of my own movies, so somewhat self-referential. It's not quite Inception, but we're going to do that, and we're going to choose play. And I think
with a built-in surge protector. Let's check this out.
So let's see. Let's try to go forward a little bit and play.
Energized conductor and ground.
And so here's the thing to notice, is that not only are we getting a nice looking image, but let's pause this. But obviously the sound is working too. So we're getting actually a good example of the stereo sound that comes out of the projector. So pretty cool. Now, let's switch to HDMI. Now, we're going to use their HDMI cable. So I'm going to have to plug it in on this side. Let's see, the plug is up here. And then the other side, I have an HDMI adapter from my iPhone. I'm going to plug that into my iPhone. And everything working correctly. We should be ready to roll. Let's see. So this looks good. Now I need to switch input sources again. So we're going to leave this and we're going to go to HDMI. I'm going to choose select, and you know, again, the focus has wandered off a little bit, which is frustrating. So let's see if we can get it to be more in focus. It doesn't seem to want to focus much better. There, well, it's having some problems with its focus. Let's switch over to Netflix. And I already have a movie queued up, so let's just watch a couple of seconds of it. And this is a film called Rim of the World, and as you can see, it's eminently watchable, and I will reiterate that in a darker room, this would actually be much more vibrant, but it's definitely functional. Now, in terms of focus, I'm a little disappointed that I can't seem to get it to be nice and crisp all the way from the top to the bottom and then from side to side, but maybe that's just the nature of these sort of projectors. Anyway, let me switch back on camera and then we can talk further. So that was our live demo, and it went pretty well. I actually had to do it a couple of times while I figured out how SD cards worked. So it goes. Not really thrilled with the way the focus worked, as you saw, but you know, for something like a movie or some cartoons for the kids or something, it could work just fine. Now, I did want to give you a quick close-up of the remote control in case you're curious. This is included in its remarkably budget price. And like I said, inputs, it has HDMI, USB, VGA, and it works with an SD card, and you have this AV adapter, which is kind of old school, but hey, old school, sometimes that's what you need. So it is 11.6 by 8 by 5 inches and 4 pounds. So it's not the world's lightest device. Let's get that cable out of the way, but it's not untransportable. If you've ever looked at those really big, expensive HD projectors, they are beasts. They are super heavy, but they're also kind of like 10x or 100x the price of this thing. Separate story. Now, it works. There's all these buttons on the top, as you can see here. You know, it comes with an HDMI cable, comes with a power cable. It's basically ready to go out of the box, and you can just plug something in and start watching. Has built-in speakers, which is really nice. They don't sound great, But honestly, given what this is, they sound good enough. You can certainly watch something. So like if you're in the dorm room and you're, in the dorms or something like that, or you're in a hotel room, you can definitely project this onto whatever blank surface you can find and be perfectly happy watching a movie or something. Now, having said that, this is not crisp and precise. It's not high resolution. You don't want to use this as a second display for your computer because you'll be super disappointed that everything's fuzzy. So they say that actually in the actual information page for the product, so it's not like Crenova's hiding that. And this is true of anything in this class. If you want a really solid projector for work use, you're going to be spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars, or possibly even $1,000 or more. That's not what this is. So go in knowing that. But having said all of that, there are still some issues that I have. There are still some things I don't like. I couldn't get it to be a nice crisp focus, which was frustrating. The keystone adjustment on the back is super clumsy. I've seen other products in this category that have like 2 wheels right here, one of which is focus, the other one is keystone. Seems a whole lot easier and it's in a logical place. The fact that the focus wheel is totally smooth makes me wonder if anyone at the company has ever tried to focus this thing. It's super frustrating because it's slippery. And I want it to be something where there's little tiny cuts all the way along so I know it's moving and I have good friction and I have a good sense of that actually I'm doing something. That's actually pretty frustrating. Possibly an issue, possibly not. No travel case, so the power cord, the HDMI, whatever you're going to bring, you're going to have to figure out how to pack it all together or buy a separate box or package or bag or something. So, not a crisis, but there's some room for improvement, though it works, and for the price, it actually can be a really fun addition to your, your travel gear, to your dorm room, to your basement, whatever it is. So, it definitely has its uses. Now, before we get to the price, and you're pretty much going to be blown away by the price, I'm confident. But before we get there, can I ask if you can subscribe? And if you use a projection system of any sort, leave a comment and tell me what you use. And if you did use one and now you don't, leave a comment and tell me why you don't use it anymore. Cool. Now, this is the Crenova XPE498 Mini Projector. Not very mini, but we'll roll with that. And it is $89.99 at Amazon.com, which is pretty crazy inexpensive. This is like, buy this just to mess around. Buy this because you can do a multimedia presentation at night, or heck, put on a star field and just watch that. So, this is not a world-class projection system. Nothing is in this price category, but the fact that you can buy a projector ready to go out of the box for well under $100 is pretty amazing, really. Now, there are other projection systems from competitive companies in this same price point, so you might want to do a little homework to see how they all stack up and pros and cons. But I gotta say, just for something that's just a fun, goofy, little inexpensive way to maybe keep the kids entertained at a hotel room or something, this actually is a pretty decent option. So, with that, I might go back to that Netflix movie, but either way, I hope to see you in my next video.